And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the interview room. Woo! Where are you at? Tell me where you at. We got a great show ahead of you. Man, oh man, oh man, what a day. Welcome from around the world. Holy cow. Alaska. Great to see everybody. Woo! Tennessee, Washington, New Zealand. Welcome to our friends across the pond. Marco Island, Indiana, Nova Scotia. So exciting. We've got an amazing panel for you tonight. Sergeant John Lamb is going to be here. Dr. Gary Brucato. World famous Dr. Gary Brucato. And of course, Josh Diaz from the lab. Man, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to weigh in on today's events as well as tomorrow's events. Things are coming up. It's great to see everybody in the panel tonight. Man, oh man, they're playing my song. How are you guys doing? Look at you, the three of you. My goodness.
Like the Three Stooges.
The three amigos. The three amigos. Josh, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Chris? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Doing well.
Of course. It's those of you who have not subscribed to our channel may not know who the panel is. So we'll give a couple of seconds here to let them introduce themselves and tell the world a little bit about who you is. Dr. Brucato.
So I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist. I'm known for my work clinically, research-wise, and in terms of writing in the areas of severe mental illness, personality disorders, and extreme violence, including mass murder. I was the co-creator of the Colombian Mass Murder Database. That's the largest study of mass murder done to date, of worldwide mass murder, serial killing, and sexual offenses in particular. And I am a visiting researcher, my new title, at Boston College. Very proud of that, where I work with Dr. Ann Burgess and Dr. Victor Petreka on research. And I am a member of the Cold Case Foundation on the expert panel, working as we speak on wrapping up a book that Chris and I are the editors on, about that foundation and the wonderful work that our members do.
And he's humble, and he hangs out here on the interview room, probably because we're all crazy, and he's the only one that can evaluate us.
That's what he does to me.
Piano player.
And he's an amazing piano player, and he has a page where you can go over and listen to his music and buy him a cup of coffee, and that keeps that buzz going there. You'll see him firing up that coffee as we roll.
Right. Now, would you believe it? I'm drinking Starbucks, which I don't usually do.
That's not true, Gary.
Desperation.
Yeah, you say that, but every time I ask you, you're like, "Oh, I got Starbucks." So Starbucks is kind of your thing now.
Not really, but
No,
this
it
I
is.
couldn't resist it because there's something very addictive about
Disgusting.
this particular. Yes, but and I see somebody in the audience from Peoria. That's a city I'll be visiting in the fall for the canonization of Fulton Sheen of Peoria.
Oh, Bishop Fulton Sheen's being
Yes,
canonized.
being canonized, and it's where his body is now. They took it from my neck of the woods here in Manhattan and sent it out there, and he's going to have. Well, I think it's his beatification. Actually, he's blessed. He's going to be blessed Fulton Sheen, which is a big deal, and that's where he's from. So I'll be out there because I'm a very big fan, and so see you there. So John.
Yeah, and also just real fast before John jumps in, John is a very dear friend, known him 40 plus years. He used to be my old boss. I'm sure he's going to tell you a couple of seconds about that. He did get combat pay while he managed me. So we'll just leave that there. And he's an amazing author. And he's got a new book coming out that he's going to tell you about. And all their books, by the way, are in the links below. So, John, introduce yourself.
Well, my name is John Lamb, and before I go any further, I would describe Gary as a polymath.
Okay.
See, Gary and I like to toss obscure words and but in this instance, I'm not merely trotting out my knowledge of the English language. He truly is a polymath. So
that's sweet.
When
I was growing up, they called me other words, but I'll take polymath.
Well,
that's not bad.
See, this is what you guys are in for tonight. An amazing treat, But finish your thought process.
Okay.
There,
yeah, please, John.
I entered law enforcement in 1974. I was a military policeman for 4 years in the Air Force. And then I entered civilian police work, and I have right around 31 or 32 years in law enforcement. I was a homicide detective. I was a CSI, a hostage negotiator. As Chris has alluded, I was a detective sergeant, and see, Chris overstates it being like hazardous duty pay. What it was being a buffer for our lieutenant, because Chris had good ideas about how to approach cases, and they weren't always orthodox. And one thing about most of the police departments, I worked for a couple of civilian law enforcement agencies, unorthodox is not comfortable. And so I would give him and my other detectives just very light reins, go out and do stuff. And well, his success as an investigator is proof that that's probably the best way to get detectives to do good work. So I will mention that if there's anybody here on the lookout for Andy, he will not be here tonight. Andy is having his first night ever in a kennel. And we'll see how that works out, because I must travel where Chris and we're going to be meeting in San Diego tomorrow. So Andy won't be here. The cats may be seen. I've also written a bunch of books. The links down below are for my memoirs. I also have, if you went to Amazon, you could find murder mysteries I wrote. A bunch of them set in the world of collectible teddy bears. One of them set on a Civil War reenactment battlefield. And it's looking like the new book will be out later this month, and that will be called Bring Out Your Dead. So Chris, it's a delight to be here. I love to be here with your audience and your mods. It's just great. So thank you.
You're a fabulous human being, and thank you so much for being here. And over in the lower left-hand column here, is our dear friend, and he brings such a different perspective and voice to all of us. Our buddy, Josh Diaz from the lab.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me. My name's Josh Diaz. I'm a podcaster, producer. I make short documentary films as well. I also am a member of Victim Witness. I've been a member of Victim Witness for about 22 years now. If you don't know what that is, it's a locally based program to help people that have endured crimes, that have been through other tragedies, and it helps people kind of navigate the system that have been through it. And very proud of always being a part of that. And I was also I guess you could say I was in the program, for a long time, and sort of graduated the program and became part of it. So, and it's specifically domestic violence, but also crimes of any kind. So I'm glad to be here and looking forward to it.
Well, we're grateful that you're here, and we appreciate your voice for sure. So, lots going on. Oh my gosh, today was an absolutely amazing day, crazy day as a whole. I streamed the Charlie Kirk case where Tyler Robinson was, and I got to be honest with you guys. It was just drug on. It just drug on, and it's been doing that for 3 days now. And I just put a video up a little bit ago about how the judge just needs to make some decisions here, because we not only did the defense get up, the prosecution got up, the media's attorney got up, but the Kirk family attorney finally got up and basically admonished the court, saying, get it on, do your job, make things happen. And all while this was going on, and we're not going to get into that tonight. We're not going to really go that direction, but I want folks just to realize that while this was all going on, the Kirk family had been sitting there and listening all day, and they have been for 3 days. And the judge has just not taken control of the courtroom. And I just want to give you just a 4-minute segment of what happened. And at the end of the day, when he was starting to make his rulings, he was laughing. He was laughing.
What's so funny?
While the family was in the courtroom, because it had drug on so long, and every time he was finished, the defense would stand up, and it was almost like it just kept on going and going. And finally, when he was done, I don't know if it was, a release of stress or whatever, but when you're in something like this, and I think we can all attest to, when the family is in the courtroom and this is such a high profile situation, you do not ever want to come across the way this was seen. And so I'm just going to play that one little piece for you and get your reaction.
Rule they adopted in Rideau versus Louisiana. It's a 5-4 opinion. And I would have to sit down with the cases, just like Your Honor probably is wishing it had time to do right now. The court had time to do right now, but it's a 5-4 opinion of the United States.
That's the defense attorney
saying what the holding in Rideau is.
Thank you. All right, I appreciate that guidance, Mr. Novak. So, taking into consideration all the factors, the previous edits, starting at, I believe I said, starting at 6 minutes and 56 seconds, going to
just put twigs on the
20
stand.
minutes and 27
Shut
seconds.
this whole
Does that
thing down.
comport what I previously said?
Yes.
All right. And then the other edit is from 3255.
Perhaps if you've
Until
familiarized yourself with the material.
3548. Does that comport with what I previously said?
Yes.
All right. And then from 3548 to the remainder 37 can be included. So there is that gap, but that can be included. And part of the reason in responding to the media, and it's an important point, and to the representative for victim representative Erica Kirk, is I recognize the importance of transparency. I also recognize the importance of balancing constitutional rights, and it is a fine line. One of the reasons why for these edits includes, under my analysis, under 403, going to the last part, needlessly presenting cumulative evidence. And based off the representation of the state that the text messages may be introduced, the court is ruling that this may be revisited in case that doesn't happen. But to throw back the curtain, much of this is the text messages, to be clear. And again, all of this is going to be considered by the court. I'm balancing all these competing rules,
Okay, this is the
constitutional
part
rights, as
that
well
I'm
as
talking about.
transparency. And sometimes it is an imperfect balancing act, but I'm trying to act in the interest of justice in making this balancing act, and for transparency to actually be transparent. And so that is the ruling of the court as it relates to State's Exhibit 16. Turning to the state, do you wish to make the edits as identified by the court and play it tomorrow to publish it, or do you wish to go a different route?
I think just to make sure that we are completely in line with the court's ruling, I think we would like to take the evening to make sure the edits are all correct and start out tomorrow.
This is going to be, we're going to get
If you
into
wouldn't
Nancy
mind,
Grace.
When you have that final copy,
But
you could
I
send
just
it
want to play this
defense
little
review
piece.
to us to form, just to make sure it comports with
Or Nancy
the
Guthrie, excuse me.
timestamps that the court has identified. And I know this has been a long conversation, but I just want to make sure everyone understands, okay, this is what the court said, and we're all on the same page, that what is before that's being presented reflects that. So not downing the state, simply allowing everyone to review it before it is introduced into court.
Absolutely, we will do that.
All right. On this issue, anything
Right
further?
here.
As to this exhibit, no.
All right.
What's so funny?
Well, Ms.
The defense wanted to say some more stuff. And this has been happening for 3 days. That's my point. You have a sitting judge, and the defense stands up like one more time, and the judge starts laughing about it. And to me, I saw that like, holy cow. You just acknowledged that the family's in the courtroom. That whole situation is what it is. And we're not going to talk about that tonight. But when you have a sitting judge like that, who just acknowledged that the family was there, and then that was his reaction, and it could have been a nervous, whatever it could have been, right? It's unbelievable. So anyway, stand by for that stuff tomorrow. But I made a prediction that little piece right there will be front page news.
Well, Chris,
Go ahead, Josh.
I remember Judge Ito was sharply criticized for his smiling and laughing during the OJ trial as well. His friends would say that he was a jokester and things like that. But I mean, it was a 9-month trial, but he was criticized pretty harshly for it as well. I mean, there wasn't much funny going on in that courtroom. Laughing from the bench is never a good thing, especially under the
I've
circumstances.
seen it. I have never seen a judge laugh during a preliminary hearing or jury trial, laugh like that. This fellow looks like he has all the backbone of a chocolate eclair. He looks like he can just be pushed around.
Judge Ito did some during OJ's trial, but he was criticized for it too. I've never, this is a preliminary hearing. I don't even understand how it's gone on as long as it has.
It's not supposed to. Prelims go fast. They've already presented enough evidence to demonstrate probable cause exists. The judge should have wrapped it up.
It should be done.
Yep. Just move on.
Over
right?
for trial.
And so that's what's coming up tomorrow. You guys, catch it tomorrow. It was absolutely crazy. I thought it was nuts for a family to be sitting there and the judge to handle it the way he did. Okay, that said, let's jump into.
Chris, could I say something very fast? Speaking of inappropriate laughter, by complete coincidence, one of the people in the audience is the wife of the creator of the Starbucks coffee app.
Oh.
Who has said that I should not be mocking Starbucks, and therefore I will say in a commercial-like way, is this delicious? And actually, I do drink it sometimes. I do drink it sometimes, but don't take my jokes for facts. That's just me busting chops. So
there you go.
That needed to be said.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Yeah, like Starbucks needs your advertising.
No, it's just because the truth is it's really good. I just like to pretend that I don't like anything corporate.
Yeah, shameless plug. And basically what, going back real fast, Josh from Courtroom Confidential says that the witness they didn't want shown on the videotape is in transition, and that's why they didn't want it out there. So anyway, that's another story. That's not for tonight. But Callella, how do you pronounce this guy's name again?
Callella.
How is it?
John can do it.
Is that Italian?
No, I'm not going to do it like I have a mouthful of cat food. I'm going to do it right because we're talking this. Callella.
Callella. Is that Italian? What is it?
Well, it's certainly, I'm assuming so because it's a common Italian name, but they haven't come out and told us. I suppose it could be it could be a Spanish name actually. But I'm not sure. But I've heard that in Italian. So I think it means like a little cove. Like a little.
Anybody know what? Yeah, anybody know? We've got different.
I think it could be Italian or Spanish, and I mean like Spain Spanish. But yeah, I'm not sure. But I think it's Italian.
So I got hold of, as you guys know, I've had the documents, but I wanted to go over them with you guys tonight and kind of get you guys to weigh in. Let me move you, Josh. Let me move you up here.
If it's a Spanish name, we wouldn't say the L's like that.
I'm fine down there.
Hey, yeah, right, yeah.
And but there were a couple of things in here that I thought, well, first of all, this is just your standard issue federal boilerplate type of plea agreement, right? And I caught something the other day that was put in here, and I know some people were talking about it that, oh well, yeah, it's just a boilerplate and it's on a lot of other cases, and that's a true statement. It certainly is. These kind of things, you cut and paste. But the interesting thing about these types of plea agreements, these templates, is you have a choice of what paragraphs to put into them. You can cut and paste various paragraphs. You don't leave all the paragraphs into the boilerplate plea agreement. Everybody tracking me there on that? Okay. So, and for the audience, so let's say, you're a U.S. attorney and you're going to put together this plea agreement. Well, you have a boilerplate with, at least, and in this case, at least 26, 27 paragraphs that you can choose from, if not more. There's probably a ton of them. And so then you can take out the ones you don't want, and then they just renumber themselves. So in paragraph number 22, the one I caught the other day, well, first of all, I want to go over paragraph number 30. So that's going to be page 8. All right. Now, we were the first ones on this channel to even talk about this guy in the ether. And it was like lickety split. All of us thought, well, that doesn't look right. Okay. That doesn't feel right. Doesn't look right. Something's wrong here. And so when we get over to paragraph number 30, I'm going to read, and the reason this is so important is the factual basis. These are the facts to the case. All right, it says, I further agree that the following facts accurately describe my conduct in connection with the offense to which I am pleading guilty. And if this matter were to proceed to trial, the government could prove the elements of the offense beyond a reasonable doubt. You'll see there on line 16. If everybody wants to follow along, if you can see it. But this is not meant to be a complete recital of all facts relevant to the underlying criminal conduct. So what that sentence means right there is they are paraphrasing the criminal conduct. All right? They're not putting every piece in. They're just saying, I'm going to paraphrase what happened. Now, why is this important? Because if we go back to paragraph number 22, which we're going to in a few minutes, paragraph number 22 is the one that jumped out at me loud and clear that there may be something else cooking here.
But Chris, do you have the link to these that you could send the audience? Because it's too small to read, and I'd like to see if there's anything I'd like to say about it.
No, I had to download this from the federal court system.
I see.
So I only have the PDF. I can send it to you, Gary, or whoever.
Yeah, but because this way we could comment. I mean, in other words, the public can have this if they just know where to download it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got to pay for it, but yeah, you can have it.
So maybe it would be good to send it to us so that. Uh-oh. Can you guys? Wait, there I am. I said, is it possible to? I'm like, whoosh, what? Like the moment from Bewitched or something. But can you send the
Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, I'll have Karen send it over.
Well, I can read it just fine, so don't worry about sending it to me.
Really?
Okay.
Wow. With those glasses and everything, you can read that? What do you see? When you look at a map, do you see people waving?
Wait, what do you mean with
there's a certain thing that you could have stopped in childhood and it wouldn't have made you go blind, Gary.
Okay,
Oh,
I don't want to get too far off while we're thinking about it here. Yeah. Okay, that's it. That coffee is really kicking in. Okay, first of all, paragraph 30, page 8 of 12 up there, line 13. It says all facts relevant to the underlying criminal conduct. Or, whenever you see the word or, okay, all facts known to either party that relate to the conduct. Meaning there could be more. There are things right now that we don't know that could reveal themselves. This is important to understand in a case this high profile on an agreement like this. Every word that the U.S. attorney picks is on purpose. That's what I'm going to say here. Every single word the U.S. attorney picks. And that's why putting this clause in there, number 22, is so important, because here's the facts of the case. Nancy Guthrie was last seen inside her residence in Tucson, Arizona on January 30th, 2026. Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old woman with mobility issues that likely preclude her from walking long distances unassisted. On the morning of February 1st, 2026, a friend of Nancy Guthrie contacted the victim's family and notified them that Nancy Guthrie had not attended church that morning. Now, why is that important in this conversation?
The not attending church in the context of the Callella story, or just generally?
Just in generally.
Well, it's a very interesting aspect of the victimology, that something that she did routinely and she didn't do. But it's also interesting because she may be somebody who leaned on people in the church for support, and they may have some information about dynamics that were going on around her. I think we'd agree, Chris, they might be an interesting source of information when establishing the victimology and why she might be targeted. I don't know if the group disagrees with that, but church groups tend to be supports. Anything else anybody could think of why?
A timeline.
Well, the timeline is different from what the sheriff said. The sheriff originally said that the family arrived at 11 a.m. This affidavit says noon. So what's
that was good.
What's exactly, John, you nailed it. What's missing, right? That was going to be my next question. It's because, again, every word counts.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been asking, what time did they get there? And the sheriff says 11:15-ish. And then it changes to 11:56. Okay. And now look at this. On the morning of February 1st, a friend of Nancy Guthrie contacted the victim family and notified them that Nancy Guthrie had not attended church that morning. But she doesn't say what time that happened. So before noon, they have been trying to, the authorities have been tucking this away through the whole narrative of this entire thing, including in these documents. Because now, why is it important to say what time they entered the home? Why is that not as, or why is the time they got the phone call not as important as the time they entered the home? Typically, this is how it would have read. On the morning of February 1st, 2026, at 09:23 hours, a friend of Nancy Guthrie's, because the first thing a defense attorney is going to say, well, detective, officer, U.S., FBI agent, what time did you get the phone call from the family? Friends, from the family friends. I notice it's not in your report, but I notice you put something, a time in your report. That's why I just want to point that piece of it out. At approximately noon on February 1st, now the timeline creates itself. Nancy Guthrie's family entered her residence and determined that she was missing and reported her disappearance to law enforcement. Law enforcement arrived shortly thereafter and determined that Nancy Guthrie had left basic essentials inside her home, including her wallet, car, cell phone, hearing aid, and medication. So now we know that the family said her wallet was there, her car was there, her cell phone was there, her hearing aids were there, and her medications were there.
Now I have to tell you, Chris, That bothers me. Is it okay if I make a quick comment on that?
Go. That's why you're here tonight.
That bothers me tremendously because it was a member of the family that told Savannah that it appeared to be an abduction for money, her brother. Now, this is very strange because I cannot imagine anyone thinking that somebody is kidnapped when those things are left there. That's very peculiar. No one would draw that conclusion with those things being left there because they're very basic to her being kept alive. So if the conclusion that any reasonable person, I think, I mean, forgive me, I don't know what that means. I'm not casting any kind of aspersion, but I have to tell you that I think the average passing individual would say she's not alive anymore. She needs those things to be alive. Nobody who was keeping her for abduction would leave those things. So I just find that very puzzling.
Okay. So this is important. This is important. And one of our, I know the chat's already going to catch it. What's not listed in here?
Who the person is who got the phone call?
Well, that too, Gary. Yeah, absolutely. Her Apple Watch.
Right. Exactly. Even though that was used to verify
in the ransom.
Where did the Apple Watch show up?
Uh-huh.
In the ransom note. Okay. This is what is reported. Essential items left in her home, including her wallet, car, cell phone, hearing aids, and medication.
Well, I mean, is it possible that they don't think that a watch is essential?
Well, if it's what's monitoring her heart, I would consider that. Yeah.
But watching a phone, kind of go hand in hand. So,
well, I'm going to tell you something. I can't say what case it was I was looking at for the show that I just went to film about, which I did. But because of that case, I became interested in the question of people who supposedly run away, leave you for someone or are abducted, and leave things behind. And I looked in my extensive records here. And one of the things I learned is that in staged abductions and in staged runaway situations where the person is actually deceased, almost invariably they leave things like their wallet mysteriously. And it makes people say, who would leave without their wallet? And start to question the story. The wallet is one of these big things that it's very like if you were faking someone running away or being abducted, don't leave their wallet. It's too much of a giveaway that something's at least with the runaway story.
Yeah, wallet and cell phone for sure.
Right. It's too odd of a thing. And I was thinking about that and I was like, Now, I suppose with an abduction you could leave it, but you'd kind of want somebody's ID and cards and things if you were financially motivated, I think, especially if it were a wrench attack.
Okay. But this anyway. Is really, great talk, great concept.
I'm anticipating where you're going probably.
Okay.
Yes.
This is really important.
Right.
To pay attention to each word and how it's structured by law enforcement and the U.S. attorney here. Because John and I and others, we have done these, a lot of them. Guess what? Let me read this one more time. And determined she was missing and reported her disappearance to law enforcement. 911, what's your call? My mother's missing. Okay, what's your address? We're en route. And now the next piece. What happened? Law enforcement gets there. They're told a narrative. Well, how do you know, what do you mean? What's going on? Look at the verbiage. Law enforcement arrived shortly thereafter and determined that Nancy Guthrie had left basic essentials inside her home.
Which is the way it's phrased is that she voluntarily left it. It
And
wasn't
so-
like she was pulled out and couldn't grab it.
That's a good
And-
point, John.
And somebody said, well, how do you know she left? Well, her wallet's over here, her car's here, her cell phone is here, her hearing aids are here, and her medication is here. Oh, okay. Okay.
It does it mention medication?
Yeah, it says
Yeah, it
medication.
does. The last,
Because, I
the
mean,
last I mentioned.
Look at
At-
line
at-
23. Read line 23.
Okay,
And
yeah,
medication.
cell phone, hearing aid, and medication. So
Where's
to
law
Dr. Gary's
enforcement
point,
getting this information?
Well,
Law
I'm just-
enforcement doesn't
yeah.
know she uses medication until they're told. Well, she's on medication. I mean, you just don't show up and go, oh, there's medication. She must use this medication.
Well, she could have had a medication card in the wallet that was left. But
We don't know. We're going by what law enforcement arrived shortly thereafter and determined that Nancy Guthrie had left basic essentials. Well, how did they determine that? You only determine that by asking questions. Okay, is this your mom's wallet? Yes, sir. Is this your mom's car? Yes, sir. Is this your mom's cell phone? Yes, sir. Are these your mom's hearing aids? Yes, sir. Is this your mom's medication? Yes. Well, what about the Apple Watch? Is this your mom's Apple Watch? That somehow inadvertently gets left out in this affidavit or this plea agreement.
And
It gets
I gotta
made.
say,
Go ahead,
Chris,
John.
I find this phrasing peculiar because I think one could make a reasonable assumption that Nancy Guthrie didn't depart the home under her own power. So to say NG had left basic essentials inside her home, I may be reading too much into it, and that's certainly possible, but it's certainly a passive way to describe this. It almost suggests that somewhere in the background, we're still entertaining the notion that she might have voluntarily left on her own or been a walkaway. She left these items.
but the family would know pretty quickly because of her condition that she wasn't a walkaway or a runaway. I mean, they made that very clear. Savannah made that very clear in interviews. Nobody else has said that, but Savannah has made it very clear that on a good day she could get to the mailbox. It's a good day,
Right.
so you know, if it were me and I came home, my grandmother was missing, I would say, and they say, well, is there a chance that she walked away? I would say no chance that she walked away because, my grandma also uses a walker and, she doesn't make it more than 100, 200 feet by herself.
Right. And the U.S. attorney covered that in line 19 and 20. They made sure to bring that point up to your point exactly where they say Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old woman with mobility issues
Yes, correct.
that likely preclude her from walking long distances unassisted.
In the desert.
So they're
In the middle of the
acknowledging
night barefoot.
in the middle of at 2:30 in the morning, okay, that she can't walk long distances without being assisted. They put it right there. It's in line 19 and 20 in this document. Okay. So basically, this explains now the sheriff on the first night going, well, she's sharp as a tack, but she really can't go far. She can't go out too far. This makes sense now the second day in the second press conference where the sheriff even reiterates that even further. And now it makes sense when Savannah says she could barely go to the mailbox. And it makes sense now that the girlfriend that day, that morning, actually escorted her to the mailbox to get her mail. And now that when she disappears, this is not a walk away. This is not a walk away. Or is it a walk away? And there was confusion about that. Somebody was confused when they first got on the scene. Somebody was confused. Either the cops were confused or the reporting parties were confused. That's kind of an enigma right now. We don't know how that fits into this puzzle. But we have a lot more now in this plea agreement. Go ahead, Joe.
It says on line 18, last seen inside a residence on January 31st, 2026. What time?
Again, great point. They left that piece of the puzzle
Something I
out
would
too.
reasonably expect to see in an affidavit.
Yeah. You notice those data points, and we've been asking for those data points from day one. We know what time the garage opened and closed. All right. Well, what time did the family get there? Missing. What time, the cops get there? Missing. Hey, but I know what time they got there. And I know that what time the sheriff said. The sheriff said 11 a.m. And the homicide guys got there at 2:00 p.m. in the afternoon. I know that for a fact. Okay. At 2 p.m., 1400, they went, as we used to say, 1097 on the scene. So now we go into the next piece. Nancy Guthrie's blood was found on the outside of her residence near the porch. Why is that important to put in this plea agreement?
Well, I don't know why any of this is important to put into his plea agreement at all. If it has nothing to do.
Yeah, if it's his contention that he's not in any way connected with this, why is this in the affidavit?
It should be pretty set. I mean, look, the guy was a drug addict who tried to extort money, who had nothing to do with the case. We don't need the details of anything else. That's so, throwing all this in there seems like they obviously are doing it for a reason.
Well, the word you're looking for is foundational.
Well, what is the day and time that the call comes vis-a-vis the abduction or the vanishment?
Well, it doesn't say in this.
That's odd.
Well, there's a lot of odd here. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I mean, John, don't you think it's peculiar that they don't tell you when this happened vis-a-vis her being gone? And how would this person know so quickly? Was it public knowledge yet?
Well, exactly. And it had probably made the media, but the mere presence of this information suggests that there's something else occurring. I would also go back to NG was last seen inside her residence in Tucson. Who saw her? That's another thing. Who was the person who we can affirmatively say saw her?
No, but the part that's puzzling me is if a complete stranger sees in the newspaper this case, their takeaway would be, this is the mother of a wealthy, famous person. Let me contact Savannah Guthrie. Yeah, the story that we're being told that the person sees this story and then decides to reach out to a sibling and their husband after finding their name on the internet. That's odd.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's reasonable that the person you'd reach out to is the one with the money and the notoriety, because you would muscle them for money. It makes sense. it's very odd to ask I can't explain precisely
Well,
why
no,
that's
that's
weird.
because it eludes explanation. And the other thing is, Gary, is that just purely from a point of view of somebody who isn't operating with a belt-sized IQ, and I've said this
Right.
before,
Uh-huh.
you've got the biggest kidnapping being reported on the planet. In what alternate universe does this guy decide, I don't know these people, but I'm going to jump feet first right into this boiling volcanic caldera in the hope that I can get some money? It just doesn't make any sense. I'm wondering if he didn't think that when he contacted um, the where the two texts went, that perhaps he was surprised that they reported it to the police. He may
Okay,
have
well,
expected that they'd be held that they would have maintained the communication as being confidential.
Well, and here's the other thing for this document. I understand that there should be some context to why this person tried to commit this crime, but not at this detail. Not at the detail level that's here.
well,
You
what,
didn't
Suggest
make
that this timeline is going to be important for understanding the call, but we don't understand how yet.
look, the document's fine. It's the cursory information that they're choosing to put into the narrative.
Right.
That's there. And trust me, if there's a deal or something that this guy had made or the cops have made, or they're working him as a CI, or they're flushing him into something else, maybe this is a DEA thing. It's a bigger problem. And what they're trying to do is just kind of make sure that we're transparent, but you can't see behind the curtain. That's the reason I'm raising this issue. And
Could it
you're,
be camouflage, as you say, for a bigger DEA operation?
yeah, I mean, if you showed this to 50 attorneys, they'd go, yeah, what's the problem? Okay. Well, we just saw how it works in court today. That's the problem. Attorneys and cops, we think differently. We bring information to attorneys, and then they try to figure it out how they're going to present it in a court of law. Okay. But, in law enforcement, again, you're looking for things, you're smelling things, you're seeing things that, quite frankly, they don't see. Okay. Because they're in a court of law and we're out in the field trying to catch the lion. So once these things get down into, the nitty gritty like this, and it's put down on paper, well, that's when you start saying, okay, wait a minute. If the watch is so important, i.e. in the ransom note, why is it left out in this particular document? You would think that's a huge piece of the puzzle, just seeing how the next day that they get a ransom note that says, oh, let me tell you why I am the abductor. Okay. It's because I know she had an Apple Watch, and also I know that the back, light is disturbed. Okay. Well, anybody could say that if they'd been to the house. Anyone could have said that. Anybody could have said that if they've been to the house. That's why it's important. And when you don't see things like that, it becomes really important, because those are the types of items they're trying to prevent the suspect from seeing, because the suspect put it in a note that could be real or not real. We're not sure where that's going to go. Okay. So if we go now, the very next day, what happens? February 2nd, KOLD, a CBS affiliate in Tucson, Arizona, receives a ransom demand via their online tip portal. So somebody knew how to go to a media tip portal and knew that tip portal would probably not be traceable. How many in the chat know you can do that?
That's
The
very,
demand, huh?
that's the first time I'm hearing that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that till you mentioned it earlier. I guess it was an earlier program you mentioned that, but it's not something I would even think about.
This is where the Bitcoin demand was put with the address to the Bitcoin wallet in the tip portal. Now let's see. Who's in the media? Huh. Interesting. Let me read that one again. The February 2nd, 2026 KOLD CBS affiliate in Tucson received a ransom demand via their online tip portal. The demand listed a Bitcoin wallet address to receive the ransom payment. So basically, the suspect sends the demand, the first demand, via the tip portal at KOLD. And that has now been interpreted into a ransom note or ransom demand. This ransom demand was made public on February 4th. Nancy Guthrie's family published a video asking Nancy Guthrie's kidnappers to contact them about their mother. That is 2 days after receiving information from KOLD. So not the 3rd of February, but the 4th of February. Now, one thing about investigations and kidnapped missing people, they are fluid events. They're fluid events. Time is of the essence. Why did it take almost 2 days to answer a demand? Because the next day, the sheriff is in a press conference saying this is a life-threatening situation if she doesn't take her medication. She could die. And so the family responds on the 4th of February. On or about February 4th, shortly after the February 2nd video was published, Annie Guthrie's daughter, Annie Guthrie, the daughter of Nancy Guthrie, and Tommaso Cioni, AG's husband, each receive a text message from a 760 phone number. So on the 4th, after the family puts out the video, all of a sudden these text messages show up. And in the text message, it states, and they even put it, let me go to page 9. And I was the very first one to point this out for the record. A question. And here's the question. Did you get the Bitcoin? Well, let's see. A couple of days before that, there's a ransom demand in a portal at KOLD.
For Bitcoin.
For Bitcoin. 2 days later, there is a text message to AG and TC. Did you get the Bitcoin? Question mark. The next sentence, line 2 of this document in front of everybody. We're waiting on our end for the transaction. That sounds plural.
Right.
Why is that important?
Just like the ransom note says we.
Mhm.
The second note, the one that about the didn't know that she was just, that she had a heart condition. We.
But we only see one person on the porch to date.
Well, we've said from the get-go, this is anyone who thinks this is a one-person job, I think, is mistaken.
Yeah, because Callella is talking in plural.
Mm-hmm.
Either the meth is talking or he's talking for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then it says Callella sent the text message to AG and TC from California while AG and TC were in Arizona. Law enforcement agents determined that the 0552 number was associated with a voice over IP text and call application that allows users to obtain another phone number for their mobile device. So he ghosted his number. That's what they call that.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been a Google Voice, whatever.
So wait. Now, Chris, does that mean that the person sending the message, which has the flavor of following up on a prior conversation, knew that the people receiving it would know who he was without him having to have his name on it?
Well, that's a great question.
I mean, if you're going to ghost your number and think someone's going to know who you are, and all you're going to say is some vague reference to expectation of the reception of Bitcoin, then you must have had prior conversation and must assume they're going to know who you are.
Yeah, that's a reasonable inference.
I mean, I don't know why nobody has asked that before. I just did, but the fact is that's very weird.
I have a question as well. Why on here? So they go on to name Annie and Tommaso as the receivers of the text messages, correct? But
yes.
Why do they not name the person who received the phone call? I don't understand that at all.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. That's the next paragraph.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're getting ahead. We've talked about that a gazillion times, and I think I have a reason, or I think I have an idea.
Okay.
But Chris, do you agree about the point that was just made about that if you're going to mask your number, if you're going to send a ghost number, then you must have a reasonable assumption that the person receiving it is going to know who you are, because it's enough to just send that message. Otherwise, you'd have to say why you're writing. You don't just send a random message like that with no context and no name associated with it and think someone's going to have any idea what you're talking about.
Right. So, and by the way, this voice over IP number, right? It's basically an internet number. Okay. And it's tied to an email address. And so they chase the email address down. The 0552 number was registered to the following email address. And his name is right there, Derek Callella @gmail.com. The records indicate an IP address. At approximately 6:02, February 4th, the 103 IP address was associated with Callella's residence in California. Why is that important? Because at KOLD, they received information about the request for Bitcoin, they may have trapped an IP address. For all we know right now, this may be one and the same. We don't know that right now, which would explain why paragraph number 22 would be relevant. Okay. Everybody following the bouncing ball in thought process here? After Miranda warnings. So they go to California, they read in Miranda, you're under arrest for what? Well, you know what you did, so I'm going to read you Miranda. He admits to sending the text message to AG and TC. Yeah, we got your IP address, your email address, and your voice over IP, and the message that you sent. Mr. Callella, yeah, I need to ask you a quick question. Yeah. Whose were? Who were you whose were when you were talking to them? Because see, them is Annie and Tommaso, but were is more than one Callella.
Right.
So,
are you speaking for somebody else as well?
Yeah, that's, I mean, any investigator worth their salt, that's the first question they're going to come out of the mouth is, so out of curiosity, why did you say there was more than one? Who else is involved in this? And what were you waiting for? What are they waiting for? And who are they? And by the way, you may wear a wire for us because we want were. We got you, but we want them as
You'll do
well.
a little rehab. We'll cut you a sweet little deal.
What? I love it. Okay. John, thoughts? Gary, before I keep going.
Well, one thing, and I want to be very careful not to go too far with speculation about this, but I was very struck to hear today that the judge remanded Callella to inpatient rehab. Because if somebody is that ill or unwell, why are they even appearing in court? I have no idea. It makes me think that the reason for putting someone in an inpatient situation might be to keep them safe or away from people to talk to, or somebody that may want to bump them off. And that's interesting. I mean, I can't prove that, but that's very interesting because the reality, Chris, is that if you're so impaired, why are you appearing? If you have a drug problem that serious and you're not, you would get treatment first, generally.
Well, how can you, exactly, Gary, how can you give a knowledgeable agreement, plea to a case if you're that impaired?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
exactly.
So it makes me think that there's a reason you want someone in a inpatient situation, but not only safety in the general sense, but perhaps in this case, that this is somebody that you want to also protect, or that
clean them up, or maybe a little talkie.
Yeah, but the point is, if you're not clear-headed enough for the talkie, why would you have appeared in court in the first place?
Well, yeah, you have to appear at some point. So then they go, well, we'll sentence you, but you're going to do some rehab first.
I understand, but a person is going to plea when they're not clear-headed to the point that they have to go to inpatient stabilization for their drug problem.
You can plea at any time.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, I just find it interesting.
Now, can I ask you a question, Gary? I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Please
do.
The
weird.
Right.
Well, we're talking about the weird. Is it possible that, and we've encountered people, I've certainly encountered people that have communicated in ways that wanted you to believe that they were members of a group or working in concert with others and it inflates their own standing that they're a member of this secret organization. Is it possible that is this guy's thinking, that it's not just me, the schlub from Hawthorne, I'm with other people?
Oh, entirely possible. But the fact of the matter is that the pronoun has a meaning. We just
Yeah,
don't know what it is yet.
exactly.
But it has some meaning. Yeah. Go
Dr.
ahead.
Gary, remember what Koberger said when he was arrested.
I know. Did they arrest anybody else?
Right.
Yeah, it's a technique.
Could be.
But
Sure.
I don't know, and I have to tell you, the way that it's all, unless there's information we don't know, I can't get my head around that these people previously communicated, and there was an expectation of who I am that's sending this message, and I can conceal where it's coming from, and it's illogical that it doesn't reference a prior conversation. So there's like a missing piece of information. I mean, unless there's something wrong with my logic, no one can explain to me how that question could make sense without a prior connection.
Well, and I think Chris is going to get to it, but he tries to sort of explain it away here.
I mean, okay, go ahead.
Great conversation.
I mean, Chris, I'd love your thoughts on this, but
the chat, we love you, and we love your conversation involved in this. This is great. Okay, so he's read Miranda. Let's see here. Callella admitted to sending the text messages to AG and TC. So he sends 2 text messages. He admitted to using the voice over IP account from which the actual text messages came from. Callella stated that he pulled family information from a website and that he was following along and watching TV about the Nancy Guthrie case. Okay, so he's following along.
He's stoned out of his mind, sitting on a couch watching TV, and he picks up a computer or whatever, a tablet, and he Googles Annie and Tommaso's name.
Well, it had to be Annie or Savannah, and somehow Tommaso and Annie came up with Savannah.
He got both of their numbers and sent one apiece. I mean, I don't know.
Well, we don't know that. This is all it says. But he went to a website and discovered Tommaso's phone number. To Dr. Gary's point. Well, first of all,
why would Tommaso why would he be connected on the web to her?
Well,
why would he appear high in the listing?
I could see Annie being on there.
As Harley is saying, that's not hard.
I understand. I can see Annie being on there. I get it. I can see Savannah, Googling and coming back, but Tommaso, why would he appear there?
That's a great question. First of all, let me ask the world. Had you ever heard of this guy before this case? Anybody?
Which guy?
Tommaso.
No.
He's not even on TV with the family. He's nowhere to be seen in any way, shape, or form. He's not even in the promo videos on the Good Morning or Today Show with Savannah. So let's assume that this guy goes, okay, let me see if I can, you know what? I'm not going to try to look up Savannah. I'm going to look up Annie, her sister, and her husband out of the blue. Because here's the hard part, okay? He texted both of them
separately. Right. That's what I'm saying. And I get it. Like, I understand. So you Google Nancy Guthrie, Savannah, Cameron, all those names pop up. But then 2 days after, how long after did he do this?
2 days.
2 days after. So he knows that the people to contact for money that are her caretakers are Tommaso and Annie. He knows that. How does he know that?
Interesting, huh?
Did we know that they were her caretakers then 2 days after?
Well, and that's a great question. I can understand somebody going, you know what? Oh, that's the sister. Let's look her up. Okay, I got Annie's phone number. Well, we'll just text her. Why is the brother-in-law to Savannah, why is he in this narrative? To Dr. Gary's point, and all of us, why is he in this narrative? Why does Callella sit back and go, you know what? I got to send one to Annie. I'll just send one to her husband. There you go.
Call
And-
another person.
And call another random person.
Phone
And
a
then
friend.
if that doesn't work, now to your point earlier, Josh, you got ahead of me, buddy.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
I'm
cool.
following the bouncing ball, Chris.
I know you are.
I
I
bounced
love
too far. I bounced too far.
You did. You went into the next schoolyard.
Stratosphere.
We're in the first schoolyard. So.
I'm dialing it back.
Okay. After Miranda, Callella admitted to sending the text messages. There are two of them, so that is plural, but we don't know if both of those, if one went to Annie and one went to Tommaso. We don't know which one. Did you get the Bitcoin if that's Annie's, or we're waiting on our end for the transaction? That could be Tommaso's. We don't know which one, or they could have both received the exact same text messaging. So in reality, there could be 4 messages in context, 2 to each of them. We don't know that. Or there could be other text messages that we don't even know about.
No, that's
Like
what I was going to say. Is we don't know that Annie received what has appeared in this affidavit, and we don't know if Tommaso got an entirely different message that hasn't been revealed. The phraseology is vague enough that unless you're looking for it, you can't say for certain.
But where in the language that we have is there even the slightest whiff that this was a person trying to extort money based on an abduction? There's no statement even referencing Nancy Guthrie. They could be talking about money owed for a tractor trailer that they purchased. It doesn't indicate that it's about Nancy Guthrie. Is, unless there's language that we don't know about, that it is a presumption that that language is about a conversation about, that refers to a conversation about Nancy Guthrie. That could be a conversation about anything. A loan, drugs, a theft. Who the heck knows? So there must be language that we don't know about, or it's being assumed. It's one or the other. I can't tell.
Right. So basically, though,
did Callella say that he did this to harass them?
no, it says in this that he was seeing if the family would respond. That's his explanation. But so basically, the scenario would be, and this is how I'm picturing it: him sitting on a couch, ripping a heater with his little, that hairdo that he had,
Yes, right.
where maybe had a little leopard print robe on, and they go, "Oh, breaking news!"
Could you be more specific, Josh?
I'm just saying, mother of Savannah Guthrie goes missing, and he hops right up out of his little meth-induced state or whatever, hops on the computer, goes do, and then says, "Okay, I'm going to text both of them, and then I'm going to call somebody else." So 3 minutes after he sends those text messages, he gets so impatient that he calls somebody else. That's the scenario that we're talking about.
Well, and I got to tell you, for those of us who dealt with meth users for decades, there's something to me a little unlikely about this.
Yes.
It strikes me as that he's seen this and says, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
For vague, for whatever vague reasons. And so he immediately jumps on the computer. And I would be assuming that if these were cell phone numbers, those aren't immediately available. So he's probably going to have to go to a website, and there are several of them, where you got to pay to get those numbers.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
And so either he had a pre-existing subscription, which to me seems unlikely.
And so unlikely to me too.
So he jumps in and decides, all right, I'm going to get on. This seems like way too much mental concentration for somebody who's using the definition of, Your Honor, I was so ripped I didn't know what I was doing. Seems like there's just a little bit more cogitation going on here.
I was just trying to get them to respond.
Yeah.
That's all.
I didn't want money. I just wanted someone to notice me because I was lonely.
I don't have any friends.
And Your Honor, my client's high today.
Yeah.
On top of all that.
Okay, so
it doesn't make any sense.
This is also yes. So at 6:02 p.m. February 4th, they trace the IP address, but guess what's missing? Paragraph or line 9. When did they read a Miranda? So here's my question.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Here's my question. They've got his phone. And they immediately download this phone or go through it after Miranda. Hey, can I look at your phone while sitting in the interview room? Show me the text messages you sent. And I'm going to keep your phone, by the way. Here they are, officer, detective, FBI agent. Yes, sir. Okay. Just a minute. Hey, do me a favor. Yeah. Can you get somebody over at the house with a UFED? Like now? I need you to download those phones. I've got a text message here from a guy who hit Tommaso's and Annie's phone. Okay, roger that. Thanks. So here's my question. What day did the guy walk through the door from the ICAC team with the UFED machine? Was it during the interviewing of Callella in California?
Interesting. That's the first time I've heard that question asked.
Asking for a friend.
Very
All right.
interesting.
Is their name Derek? Is your friend's name Derek?
Just say, I'm just reading the documents and applying, wisdom. After Miranda,
the ICAC team was certainly a great mystery that we've never been able to.
Oh, no, wait, Gary. Remember, Nano says, the ICAC team was available. So we got everybody involved. You're right. To your point, I'm being sarcastic.
Except the FBI, where it would have been helpful to use their lab.
Yeah, exactly. All right. After Miranda warnings, that's plural. I wonder if he's talking to somebody else too.
Mm-hmm.
Callella, look at line 9. You see that? After Miranda warnings. Did he read Miranda twice? Or did more than one get the Miranda rights read to them?
Yeah, it either is that there was an initial verbal admonishment of rights, which he waived, followed up by a signing the waiver, or it's two separate interviews.
Yep. Bingo. I love John. That's why he was my boss. Callella admitted to sending the text messages to AG and TC. Defendant did not identify himself on the text messages. Did he have to? He admitted to using the voice over IP account from which the actual text message came from. Callella stated that he pulled family information from a website and that he was following along and watching TV about the Nancy Guthrie case.
I mean, I'm sorry. It just the picture of that in my mind is it's ridiculous.
Okay. He's watching. Go ahead, Gary.
No, I said, you think? It's pretty, I mean.
That's what I'm saying. The leopard print bathrobe.
It's certainly odd.
So he's following the Nancy Guthrie case in California. And the video hasn't even been put out yet. Communicating with the suspect. So how's he following the case? How does he know on February 2nd? Let's see here. Shortly after the February 2nd. So mom disappears in one day. They get the note the next day to an affiliate. But on February 4th, Nancy Guthrie's family reaches out to contact, but somehow Callella is following this. It says here on about February 4th, shortly after the top line, number one, after the February 2nd video. Okay, so he sees everybody on the couch after the first video.
Oh.
And then he sends the text messages. Hey, I was watching you guys on TV. And so I ran your name through a website to ask you for Bitcoin.
Dear Tommaso.
But they don't mention Bitcoin in that first interview video, do they?
No. No.
So why is he asking for Bitcoin?
That's a really interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it gets better. To Josh's point earlier. Following along and watching TV about the Nancy Guthrie case. So he's following the case. Bitcoin hasn't been mentioned yet. When Callella sent the text message to AG and TC, he was trying to see if the family would respond. About 3 minutes after the text message were sent, about 3 minutes after the text messages were sent, Callella called a family member of Nancy Guthrie. So is this a third family member?
See, that's the part I don't understand why they wouldn't name that person just like they named Annie and Tommaso.
Yeah, and especially if you found all their phone numbers on this website.
Correct.
And why isn't that? Go ahead.
He waited 3 minutes, got no response, and then called somebody.
And the call lasted approximately 9 seconds. So he hangs up or talks to somebody. So let's count them.
Wait. Chris, I have a question. Is
No,
it
I'm listening.
possible that the reason the name is concealed is because it was their kid? That it was a minor? Plausible? Because that you keep out.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought of that, but maybe it was their son. They have a kid, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
That you'd leave out. That would make sense. I don't know. Just popped in there, but I think if you're a minor, they're not putting your name in the affidavit.
Well, yeah. Well, they would say, though, minor child.
Would they?
Yeah.
Or they would protect the kid, maybe.
No, I mean, they wouldn't be. You'd have to put in there something, you would think.
I mean, wouldn't it be enough to say another family member?
Well, that
to say,
of course that's a
Yeah.
possibility for sure, Gary.
Yeah.
Great point.
Because I mean, I'm not sure they have a son, but I think they do.
They do, but it's almost like this guy will call anybody. So who knows?
Because maybe the whole you know what I mean? There's like multiple numbers on the site, and one of them happens to be they pay the bill, but it's their kid.
Okay, so this gets great. So the call lasts approximately 9 seconds. Defendant intended to harass. This is his intent. All right. So why'd you send the text messages? Well, I intended to harass him. Who? AG and TC. All right. Why would you do that? Well, I was seeking information about the investigation into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. What?
Weird.
What kind of information you want about the investigation? I don't know. I'm trying to harass them. I just want to know what they have. But then why did you ask them for Bitcoin? I just want to harass them. Okay, are you seeking him, or did you call him because you're looking for information about the investigation, or did you send the text message because you're looking for Bitcoin? And by the way, who's we're waiting on our end for the transaction? Are you waiting for a transaction?
Also, Chris, really quick, to bounce the ball back just slightly.
Yep.
It says here that TMZ first reported the ransom demand involving Bitcoin on February 3rd. So that would where he got it from.
But isn't that interesting? TMZ also got a note.
Yeah.
That doesn't bode well for him, quite frankly, with that. In the totality of this thing. Because if TMZ got the note, when did they get the note? On the 3rd?
That's when they reported it. So, but I don't know when they received it.
Okay. Well, yeah, if we can nail that down, that.
Let me look. I'll keep digging here.
If TMZ hadn't got a note, I would say, yeah, that's a possibility. That he could be watching TV and all this other stuff. But unfortunately, they got a note. So did the news.
So it says they got it February 3rd.
Okay. So the day before.
Tucson's television stations demanded the millions of dollars in Bitcoin. So the day that they got it, they reported it later that day.
Okay. So the next
Callella
day,
was watching TMZ.
Just saying. Hey, what do I know, right?
How many meth heads sit and watch TV?
Well, sit and watch. Well, first of all, they're usually taking apart their toasters, their bicycles, refrigerators,
Frankensteining stuff.
cutting the lawn. cutting the lawn in 3 a.m, you know,
It's true.
with a t-shirt and a pair of shorts on.
That's
Hey, there's
true.
Frank out there.
I have a
Is
And I
that
got
cousin.
to
fair?
tell you, meth users don't watch the news; they watch porn. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's my experience. They watch porn.
Sure.
So I can see if he's watching the Hustler channel, but watching the news station.
Yeah. Can you see him looking at his watch going, hey, TMZ's on in a half hour?
Yeah, yeah. I can hardly wait.
Yeah.
And maybe I can listen to NPR at the same time.
Yeah. Bing, bing, bing. He's
Tom
watching-
Hartman's coming on soon.
Yeah. Can you imagine the wear and tear on that remote control? That thing's been tore up, man. He can't spend 2 seconds on TMZ. He's off to 5 other channels, you know, chasing rabbits.
BBC America.
Yeah. Hit him
Oh,
with the
God.
spotlight. You
Now,
know,
Chris,
yeah,
I'm
John.
going to have to wrap up for the night.
Okay. You're getting up early at 3.
I am getting up dark early, and I'd love to stay because it's a fascinating conversation.
Okay.
Is it really?
John, when you stepped away, one of the points I raised that I really wanted you to hear is that it may be that the reason we don't get the name of the other family member is that it was their minor son.
And you know what, Gary? I actually heard that, and I think that's an excellent point, and that would explain it. So
I was curious about that. I don't know where it came from, but I started
Yeah.
thinking about it as, so just wanted to put that out there. I don't know if anybody's raised that before, but I think that may.
it makes
Worth
a
thinking.
lot of sense. And so,
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, just before you leave though, John,
What?
yeah,
boy.
I want your opinion. And we're going to see John in San Diego. We'll take some picture for you guys. I'll post them on Twitter and stuff. But so John, here's his intent. Okay. This is his intent. Defendant intended to harass AG and TC by seeking information about the investigation into 8 NG's disappearance, all while knowing that NG was AG's mother and TC mother-in-law, that NG was missing, and that an earlier ransom demand had been made. So the whole reason he did this was to harass them, knowing that they were family members of Nancy Guthrie.
I'm sorry, that just doesn't, unless the only way this might make sense, and people have said that there has been some sort of cross contamination between goth bands or whatever they're calling it now, between the Tucson area and Los Angeles. If there was a pre-existing grievance, then maybe I could see somebody being bloody-minded enough to want to torment a family whose mother and mother-in-law had been kidnapped. But on the face of it, this seems too facile an explanation. It just doesn't. To borrow a phrase from a detective who used to occasionally drive me nuts, doesn't look right. DLR. So
He was
All right.
always in the office, wasn't he?
Go buy John's books. They're on Amazon. They're down below. Actually, I was never in the office. That was the problem.
well, that's the thing. It's where's Detective McDonough? And I'd go, look like the miracle worker, tag him like a coyote.
Well, San Diego, I got to tell you, that place has an unbelievable true crime history. That city, I mean, for a true crime buff, San Diego is like a treasure trove of, I was asked by somebody who was researching the Brenda Spencer case. Remember the girl in 1979 who didn't like Mondays?
Didn't like
So she
Mondays.
was shooting out of the house and killed 2 people and injured 8 others at the school. Remember that? A very rare female mass shooter. I mean, rare, strange cases, in San Diego. It's a special place.
Remember the tank that was stolen? You
The
can find it
163.
on YouTube. Yeah, the M60 tank that was stolen by, brace yourself, a tweaker. Yeah, and he rolled it all over San Diego. And you can find it if you were to go to YouTube. San Diego tank pursuit. You'll find it. So yeah, San Diego has had a lot of stuff. But yeah, to return to this issue of his purported reason for motive, to what purpose was, was this, unless I just can't see what the purpose is, unless A, he's lying, or B, he had a feud going with one or more of them and just wanted to inflict pain.
Yeah, but,
Other than
but
that,
John, you get right to the heart of every single dead end you hit in this case, is that at no turn can you understand who benefits and in what way from anything. There's no, every time you go down an alley, you wind up with the cui bono question and you can't answer it. What is the point? People don't do things without rationales.
Yes.
It's simple as that. So,
one other important point here I just saw. So somebody said ICAC hit the house on, or was at the house on February 7th. So that is 3 days after Callella is hooked up, which does not bode well if
That's
it's a fluid investigation.
that's really interesting.
And on that note, I'm going to say vaya con Dios. Y'all have a
Adios,
good
amigo.
night. Chris, I will see
Say-
you tomorrow night. We
Stay
might
strong.
pajamas.
take it.
Manana pajamas.
Gary, as always, is
Thanks,
to
Gary.
delight.
Ours. Thanks, John.
It's always great to be on your show. To your mods and to your people in chat, thank you all much. You say wonderful things. Oh, and there's one lady who's asked a question several times. Am I related to Margaret Lamb, a judge? No, there is no relation that I'm aware of. So, and on that note, good
Safe
night.
travels.
Thank you.
All
See you,
right.
bud. See you tomorrow. John Lamb, world famous, amazing human being.
The best.
Okay, so we're almost done with this piece. 9-second defendant intended to harass was okay, blah, 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 made. So now let's go to paragraph line 22. And this is the catch-all line, boilerplate, cut and paste, put it in here. You see a lot of these paragraphs like this as, deals, dope deals. They're still working a caper. They don't want information out. So they cut this paragraph and they put it into a plea deal like this. And now listen to the verbiage very carefully on this particular item. Now we know what he pled guilty to. We just read the fact pattern. But what we don't know is if there's other information somehow connected to this plea agreement. And so you need a boilerplate paragraph if you, let's say, are working this guy as a CI or working this guy, in a different direction for other cases, may not necessarily be, this case. But let's say you want him to go buy dope for you, or, you want to use him as a CI or something like that. Well, if other reports are generated as a result of that, well, that has to be, you have to cover yourself in a plea agreement so it doesn't come back to bite him if he goes sideways during that deal.
Do the
Okay.
feds care about that kind of stuff?
Oh, all the time. Heck yeah.
They care about dope?
Yes. DEA.
Okay.
Okay. Could come in and sit down with him. Let's say he says, yeah, I was harassing him and there's no more, nothing here, right? Nothing to see here, move along. But then he goes, hey, if I can get a deal, I'll give you, my supplier. Okay, really interesting. Let's talk. What can you hit me with? And so you roll him into that lane. Not saying that's what happened, but this would be a reason why you would want this particular clause starting in line 4 in a plea agreement. because listen to the verbiage real carefully. The written plea agreement and any written addenda filed as attachments to this plea agreement, and there are some attachments. One of them is what Gary raised earlier, release conditions. This is one of the attachments. All right. These are release conditions. You're going to go to rehab and you're going to go do your thing. Files as attachments to this plea agreement contain all the terms and conditions of the plea, meaning special deals. Any additional agreements, and this is the catch-all in this boilerplate agreement. Remember the words of, if, and, but, though, conjunction, junction, what's your function? Remember that as a kid? Okay. All right. To this plea agreement contain all the terms and conditions of the plea and any additional agreements if any such agreements exist. So what that means is they're not here now, but they could come later. And so when they do come later, potentially, they shall be recorded in a separate document and may be filed with the court under seal. So they could go under the umbrella of a different case that's under seal. So here's the question. What case is not available to the public right now?
That would be the Nancy Guthrie case.
We're cooking.
I didn't bounce the ball too far that time, did I?
No, that one you stayed in the courtyard.
No backcourt. Okay, good.
And so the next sentence. Accordingly, agreements, if any, may not be in the public record. We're not commenting about anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great day. So that is a very catch-all boilerplate paragraph.
Yeah, it kind of leaves a lot of ambiguity.
It leaves the door wide open. To
Sure.
Gary's point earlier, why would they plug him in custody to a rehab center? Maybe he's generated more information, maybe not. I don't know. I certainly know that this is an important piece, i.e. number 22 and number 30 are very cryptic, yet non-specific. No dates, no times, no time. Well, there's dates, but there's no times. There's no reference points. Again, these are missing, points of, well, what time did they get over there? We're not talking about that. How did they get in? We're not discussing that. Okay. Well, what day did you go over and read Miranda to Callella? We're not putting that in the plea agreement. Well, who did he call in the family for 9 seconds? Well, we're not going to reveal that. Well, okay. There's a lot of not reveals in this particular case. I don't know how that flushes out, or it's not related, right? To V. Miss's point, it's unrelated.
I mean, I guess it could be, but it's sort of related anyway.
Okay, let's see here. Derek, on the 4th, Derek sends A&T the text messages. On the 7th, deputies arrived for 2.5 hours at A&T's house They take photos and later come out with, also go into their garage, which is 3 days after the Callella information is known. They come out with the bags of evidence. They're in the garage. They impounded the car. All of this is in the same timing of the Callella information coming in. All right, let's take some questions.
I still think that the reason that he's going to a drug rehab is to clean him up for whatever potentially he could be talking about. Yes, it very well could be unrelated to the Nancy Guthrie case, but it sounds like they're cleaning him up for something, or trying to, at least.
Oh, we'll find out. We'll find out. They'll reveal the information. Yeah. At some point. Okay. They may need him clean and sober to testify. Correct. That's one way of doing it.
Why does it have to be inpatient?
That's a great
It's
question.
either that or, I mean, he should technically be in jail for what he did.
Or I'm getting at, I mean, if he was very ill, then I understand. If he was really, really addicted and needed medical intervention, I understand that. But you normally wouldn't stick a hearing in the middle of urgent. I mean, I'm just curious.
Oh, he could be very important.
I'm just wondering. I can't speculate about it because I don't have the details.
No, I know. I'm just saying that he could be very important, but also, I mean, it was either that or jail.
I'm just saying.
Because
or maybe there's a mental health component, or maybe there's a suicide element, or you never know. There's always reasons why you put someone in inpatient.
Okay, so let's answer. Dr. Gary, is there such thing as NG case fatigue syndrome? We all invested so much time in this case, no big results yet. Symptoms.
Yeah, go ahead. What does it say? Symptoms what?
Symptoms. What are the symptoms? And give us a cure. It's sarcastic.
Let's just say
watching TMZ repeatedly, listening to Harvey Levin.
Let's just say I think that there are people who are counting on people developing Nancy Guthrie fatigue. But we are, Chris and I are members of the Cold Case Foundation. We are taught that a case, even if it's cold for 50 years, is not beyond the arms, the long arm of the law. That your deeds will find you out. But I do believe there are people who want you to get fatigued. We won't, right? Law enforcement will not. Chris, there are people that get busted after 30 years, 50 years, even after they're dead. They get cracked.
Absolutely.
They just solved the Ted Bundy case. You know what I'm saying? One way or another. So no, but I think let's be careful about developing that kind of fatigue, because Nancy, just like any other person who was missing or deceased by homicide or whatever, or kidnapped, you can't forget about her. Just can't do it.
Okay. What about keys? And I remember SG mentioning at least 3 times someone holds the key or something like that. Go watch the videos.
Oh,
interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, that is always a possibility. He could have used one of those monthly paid subscriptions to look up people and their information, such as Truth Finder. Yep, we talked about that. Great point. Thank you, brave soul.
Yeah, during the show, Chris, somebody in the audience, I won't say who, sent me an email with all kinds of personal information about myself to prove the point that it's very easy to find.
Yeah, that's not a problem. We're not saying it couldn't have been done.
I mean,
we're just saying, if people that are cooking on meth
are, nobody's saying that you can't do it. We're just saying that, like,
you just can't make this stuff up. I love it.
That's crazy.
You can't make this stuff up. I mean, it wasn't anything that was terrible, but it was like, it's like when I was born and where I live and my phone number. I mean, that's good, or at least where I have lived.
So odd.
Open source intel. Yeah, it's not. It's difficult. You've got to get one of those program. There are things that you can scrub.
Now I'm scared to check my email.
Yeah. Here we go. Let's start from the beginning. You are telling me that this guy just Googled AG and TC, just got their cell phone numbers. Cell phones are not that easy to obtain, unlike landline. Cell phone numbers are recycled. That's correct. They are recycled. That's why when you do get some of those open source intel programs like Truth Finder and all those other things, TLO and et cetera, they give you a score after the phone number. There's the best program out there, and you can't buy it. The public can't buy it. It's called Whooster, WHOOSTER. And Whooster is they ran the pager industry back in the day, and they had access to over 3 billion pager numbers. Well, when you went into the phone company, when cell phones came along and said, hey, I'd like to keep my cell phone number. What do you have? Well, I have a pager, and my pager number can now be my cell phone number. Well, guess what company has those cell phone numbers?
That's right.
Whooster. And Whooster sells those cell phone numbers to those open source intelligence companies in batch numbers, in batches. And that's why when you do an open source intel and you see a phone number, it says 32%. This could be the right number. 12% to that individual's point that those phone numbers are recycled.
Hey, Chris, I just got an email. It says 1992, Dr. Gary plays the accordion in front of a large crowd at his junior high.
I never played in public outside of my family, so that's not true.
I didn't know you played the accordion, Gary.
You know that, Chris. You know I played the accordion.
Okay. Would the phones have been in Ellie at that point? Well, it looks like they probably would have been talking to him at that point, yes, but not in their possessions. They probably hadn't downloaded them at that point. Let's see here. Who all was at the A&T's house Saturday night? What was the night plan for Nancy Guthrie? Love to know the conversation at the dinner table, in my opinion. That is a great comment. And thank you for making that nice, Marie. We also want to know that information. Did you get Bitcoin? Question. We are waiting. Sounds like he is asking A&T got the ransom, and they are waiting on their cut of it. Final step in deal.
Well, Chris, one question that people keep emailing me about during the show, so I'm just going to ask you, is there they're asking if there's any, I've had more than one now, if there's any possibility that Callella is Porch Guy.
That Callella?
Yes. People are asking me that. That thought does not sound right to me, but I'm curious what you think based on what people are saying to me.
I don't. Are you saying that he's like the thug?
That's what people are asking, because the logic I think they're trying to suggest is maybe he's looking to get paid for what he did.
Well, he had to make it back to Hawthorne pretty quickly.
I don't think so.
So did they impound his cars would be my question. Because they're going to check airlines, which you're not flying out that morning with Nancy. Yeah. So I don't think he's the guy on the porch. And here, I love Andre. Thank you for jumping in here. You're awesome, and congratulations. I'm glad you have a 12-year chip. I am an addict, clean 12 years, since there's no way you can just slap a suit on and look. That's okay. He's using excuse that I'm an addict. That helps a lot of criminals. Yes. Thank you, first of all, for commenting, and thank you for your vulnerable statement like this. We really respect you, and appreciate you jumping in by saying that.
Yeah. 12
Oh,
years
yeah.
is incredible. Incredible.
12
That's
years is a long time.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be very
That's
proud.
extraordinary.
Welcome
And
to the show.
God bless you.
Yep. I found A&T's number on Truth People Search for free, and it took about 10 seconds. However, I don't believe he needed to Google their numbers.
Yeah. Now, I mean, look, he did it today. He did it the day after. I mean, I'm sure they're everywhere now.
DC sent those messages on February 4th, immediately following the video that SG did with ANC. Okay, awesome. Much love from the Mark the Shark fam. Awesome. Thank you, 5 Divide, Julie. And I think I saw some stuff with your tweet as well, Julie. So good job. How did DC know Bitcoin was the requested currency? The ransom notes were not public yet.
No, they were February 3rd, and then he requested February 4th because he pays really close attention to pop culture and true crime.
To TMZ, Whippersnapper. I feel the 9-second call could have been a warning shot. Call me on a burner phone. Great show. Very interesting. You owe me money. You're next. Good point. Where's Mr. Gilliam? We miss him. I think he's getting his knee operated on.
Oh, no.
Super sticker. Thank you. When DC's mom was leaving the courtroom, she said something like, I hope they get the help they need. Who is they? I heard that. One of the streamers had asked that question, and she said something to that effect. I have to go back and listen to it just to make sure.
Although in 2026, a lot of people use the word they to vaguely mean an individual. They don't adhere to the he, she. Sometimes people say they just to mean a person.
Don't start it.
No. I don't mean for like because of gender identity. I mean that in common parlance, people say they to me. Like whoever called me last night, I hope they realized it was very late. You know, they use they that way.
I know.
And, so I don't know if we can deduce much from the use of the word they in this era.
Did I miss the reply to my super chat? You may have. Why would family wait 2 days to reply to a ransom demand? Great question.
Yeah, that really is
Weird.
Yeah. You would think the time.
They tell Savannah about it.
Why did it take 2 days? I asked that question as well. So once the rootless hair or other DNA comes back, will they unseal or reveal his match to this case? Probably not. Probably not. I think there would be additional charges if he was the guy.
Right. Another question for you, though, Chris, I would like your answer to.
Uh-huh.
If law enforcement had this message and thought that it was legitimate, that this person was demanding money, why did they obtain permission to search Annie and Tommaso's home and take their car?
Well, the bigger question is, what probable cause did they have to do that?
Right. I mean, well, but it makes me think that they either didn't take this seriously, that it meant anything, or if they did, then it makes no sense that they proceeded with that, because they would have said, this guy's involved, and this is outside the family, and this is outside the home, and this is a... So it must be that they thought that Callella was just an absurd red herring.
Well, we don't know that. Everything, it seems like after this Callella deal, they started hitting the cars and the houses.
But isn't that interesting?
Yeah, but it's one of these things where, remember, we've asked the question, how and why did you search and impound the family vehicle?
Did they already have Callella before that? Or did
Well,
they
here's
arrest him later?
they got Callella on the 4th. Okay. They got him in Hawthorne on the 4th.
Interesting.
They hit the house on the 7th. That gives them enough time to write an affidavit and a search warrant
Okay.
and to go over the house. They impound the car in that time.
Yeah, they hemmed him up pretty fast.
They impound the car, Annie's car. Why?
After talking to Callella.
After probably, well, we don't know. We don't know if he's the reason, or if he says
It seems in the time frame, it seems like, but you don't know if it's before or after.
But we have on paragraph 22, there could be some things that you're not going to see, ladies and gentlemen. You know, what's the old saying? There was a fight at Mr. Johnson's bar last night. Dear ladies and gentlemen of the United States of asparagus, I stand in front of you, not behind you, to tell you something I know nothing about. There was a fight last night at Mr. Johnson's bar. If you don't believe me, ask the blind man. He saw it. Okay. This is what's going on. Okay.
The deaf guy heard it.
This is what's going on in this thing. And it's just coinkydink that nothing to see here. Well, the only thing to see here is Annie and Tommaso get text messages. Their cars get impounded. Their houses get searched. Their phones get downloaded. We don't know how they got in the house. We don't know what time they got in the house. It's just like, bing, 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 bing. But nothing to see here. Everybody's been cleared, according to one guy. But according to other people that are actually working the investigation, they went, huh? Where'd that come from? It came from the sheriff. Sheriff? Do you mean
we don't know? We don't know what we know. Okay. We know what we don't. Chris, there was an interesting comment here that I wanted to read. It said, go back to the interview with the FBI agent. And he said, anyone trying to profit from this case will be prosecuted to the fullest extent. But DC is getting a sweetheart deal. It's great. That's a great comment.
Yeah. Walking down the lane. Now, I'm not saying that any RPs are involved in anything. I didn't impound anybody's cars, nor did I search anybody's homes, and the media's outside. I love Brian Enton that night. He's walking in front of the house going, I can see the lights there. The cameras are going off in the garage.
Yeah, he did.
They're taking photographs in the garage. Nobody knew about Callella at that point. So they're coming out of the house with evidence bags. Oh, wait, it's a table. They just put it in the car. It's like, blow by blow, minute by minute, second by second. But by the way, those folks were Pima County sheriffs. They weren't the FBI. What was the FBI working on? They're working on the notes. They're working on trying to find these IP addresses. They're working on the ransoms. They're working on Callella. Pima County Sheriff's Department is working on a homicide. Much different.
Whatever Nancy went through, I always go back to this. It had to be horrific for her to experience this. I mean, just like stuff of nightmares, just crazy.
Great thought. The cute one. Possibly ICAC was ATs because son got the call. Probably not. I mean, meaning those folks they don't usually handle that kind of stuff. They're digging for internet crimes against children, not, and we're talking about SA and the magic inappropriate garbage, the pee stuff. Let's see here. Did they offer the text or did Ellie find A&T cell? Great question. We don't know that. That, again, is a super great question. Super great question. Okay. That's it. We are 2 hours into this thing. And you guys got any thoughts before we call it a night? Because I got to go.
You had a long day, Chris.
It's been a great day.
Yeah, good job. No, it was good coverage. Yeah, like I said, just really quick. I always, at the end of these things, I like to at least try to remember, who and you guys, Chris and Dr. Gary, you guys do a great job of this. That we're talking about an 84-year-old woman that was taken out of her house, that her blood was on the front porch, and wherever she is, it didn't seem that she went there willingly. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. And, protect your family the best you can, and just, if there are any lessons to be learned, unfortunately, sometimes, lessons that aren't taught in blood are often soon forgot, is the old saying. And it's just, protect yourself, protect your family the best you can. It's very sad. It's a very terrible thing. And the fact that Callella or anybody would chime in like this to try to make, to extort anybody is beyond comprehension. It's disgusting, and he should be in jail for it.
Good point. Very well said, Josh. Very well said. And go over to the lab if you're not a member over there yet or sub. Please go over and hit that sub button. And also tonight, we are about 1,900 away from 300,000. So we got 10,000 people here. If 1,900 of you hit the sub button tonight, we are over the number. And we will celebrate. And we are grateful for that, because that's the only thing we ask here is that you hit the sub button and that you send it out to all of your friends on your social media platforms. For that, we would be extremely grateful. 6.5 years we've been doing this.
It's amazing, Chris, how your viewership just dwarfs some of these other crime stations. And it's interesting how, not to get into this, but it's fascinating how the humility level appears to be in indirect proportion to the enormity of the channel. You know what I mean? Like the larger the channel, the more humble. But like the station with like 5 viewers, has like the gassed up, the gas head. It's just fascinating to me. I think there's something about the humility level that I think keeps people coming. I think it's a beautiful thing.
And speaking of humility, Chris, can I plug something really quick?
Of course.
Dr. Gary and I this weekend, we're going to be doing a call-in show. You guys will be out of town, and then hopefully I'll have you and John and Gary on the following week as well. But Dr. Gary and I this weekend, so look for that. We're going to post. It'll be posted here in the next day or so. Hit that notification bell if you sub up over on the lab. You'll get to get a chance to call in and ask questions. So,
and don't you think of Chris's station, it should be said, accept no invitations.
That's right.
I got to be honest with you. Karen and I are blessed with an amazing audience and following. They're friends. We have made a lot of friends doing this over time. We've got to meet so many good people. So I appreciate you saying that, Dr. Gary, but in all sincerity, it's the people that have made this channel what it is today. Everybody in that chat over there, we've got things up there, folks of, cantankerous Chris.
I love that. Somebody made you that?
Oh, yeah, somebody made this for us. Look at this. I love it.
That's fantastic.
I should just put it right here in front of my face.
Hey, Chris, I started out as a watcher of yours.
You did?
I had a YouTube. Yeah, that's how I got. Yeah, I used to watch you every week. I watched.
Sorry to hear that.
I watched the Barry Morphew. Watched that from you. This is before I knew you, and then I believe it was. Let's see, there was another case. Morphew was the one that I got introduced to you on, but then the one in the desert, the name escapes me really quick, but the
In
poor
the
lady,
desert. Oh, Maya Meliette.
Maya Miliete. I paid close attention to that,
Which,
and
by the way, they just it went to the jury today.
yeah, right.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Timing.
Yeah,
Let's cross our fingers for justice for that family, and we'll have Richard and Mary Chris on and their family.
I can't wait. Yeah, and I've got to speak with them as well, and they're just wonderful people. And also the Summer Wells case where you and I linked up, and also if that's a case that you guys are not aware of, Chris has some wonderful stuff on that case. He has a playlist. I also have a playlist of it. Please take a look at it if you're new. If there's any information that anybody can give. Just try and help find that poor young lady. She was a little girl when she was missing, 5 years old. So
Yeah, that's
Summer.
a sad case. Chris, I got your name off of the posters in the post office.
Absolutely. I've been trying to run from those guys, and what's an irony? A couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago, 4 or 5 days ago. Why are you hitting the FBI so hard? Blah blah blah. You guys know me. I just call it as I see it.
I think they're just talking about your experiences.
Right. I just talk about my experience. I mean, there are great. Again, there are great cops. There are bad cops.
Very bad.
I will call them out. You've come to the right channel if you're looking for fair and balanced information. Those that have been with me for 6.5 years now, from the day one. I mean, Miss Sophia, our mods, they have been with me from day one. Okay, and they know because they see all the comments. They'll tell you straight up, I am. What you see is how I am, even behind the curtain.
After 5 years of doing shows with you, it's really never changed. So it's been that way. Also, Chris, I'll be remiss if I didn't mention also Sebastian Rogers. Please also check that out as well. Because that's another case from the same area, and then Chris has done incredible work with me, and Dr. Gary has talked about it as well. We did it on the witness box, another case that's really near and dear to all of us. So if anybody has any information about that as well.
But the other thing about Chris, since we're on the give Chris positive feedback track, is I think Chris has also become something of a kingmaker, in the sense that there are a lot of people whose own YouTube work really gets its start here. There's a lot of that. I mean, I was introduced to all of this when I was invited on an episode of this show. I had only been on, I think, one other podcast before to represent the Cold Case Foundation and talk about the Brian Koberger profile. And the next thing you know, I was doing these left, right, and center. And I think there are a lot of people who come on, and then next thing you know, they've got their own kind of notoriety. I think it's just, there's something about this show that I think people consider it a good place to find people that you would be interested in listening to.
I had a YouTube channel before I met Chris. I podcast before I had met Chris, but
right.
Getting involved with Chris and you, Dr. Gary, has definitely changed the trajectory for me in a lot of ways, and I'm forever grateful to have such availability to such incredible guests and friends that I've made. I mean, it really makes a difference with the level of people that you have, and Dr. Gary, you've introduced me to some wonderful people, and Chris, you have as well. So it's, I always appreciate it. So I know exactly what you're talking about, Dr. Gary.
Well, you're both
some
extremely
wonderful,
kind.
some mostly wonderful. A couple of doozies, mostly.
there are moments, I'm sure of it, where I've opened my mouth, inserted my foot. There's no question about that. But I think the commonalities though that we all have, and I mentioned this even today earlier. My philosophy is straightforward. It is. I mean, there's an old, what was it, Zig Ziglar, who used to say, give a man what they're looking for, and they will turn around and give it back to you tenfold. Mm-hmm. And that's just, or a woman, it doesn't matter. I try to treat people the way I would want to be treated, the golden rule. I also, don't see, people in color. God doesn't see in color, so why do we? And so I try to look past that. Doesn't matter who you are. And, I got hammered recently. I was in CrimeCon and I walked over and I sat next to JLR because he called me over. What am I going to do? Ignore the guy? No. I went over and I said, hey, how are you? And I high-fived him. He was fun. He had a great smile on his face. I had one on mine. We high-fived each other, and that was it. Thank you. It was nice meeting you. It's a pleasure, and we move on.
Well, don't you know that high
incontrovertibly an interesting person who has a lot of weight in terms of what he accomplishes. There's no denying
that guy works harder than anybody on YouTube.
Yeah, he's like Forrest Gump. He is everywhere connected to any crime. I mean, I swear.
Times 10.
Wasn't he like here when
I love that about
the Empire State Building? I don't know how he does it. I don't know if he gets into some kind of like that thing in Star Trek that like zaps you somewhere. All I know is that he has that Forrest Gumpy quality, that he's just everywhere that anything happens. And there's no denying that he is an intriguing character.
Chris, have you ever stuck your nose up to anybody before? You don't seem like the type.
I'm not that guy, because I have been with, like Dr. Gary. You don't get to choose your victims when you work homicide or when you're a doctor. True. And when I was a hostage negotiator, and I've had people with guns to their heads. I've had people on bridges. I've had people on quarry ledges. I mean, we've talked about some of these things. I had a guy one night fall asleep with a gun taped to his hand, and the gun discharged when he fell asleep. There's nothing worse than talking to a guy for 2 or 3 hours and then not see him because you can't see through the house. And then you hear a boom. Okay. That affects you. That changes you as a human being. So you learn to treat people like human beings. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what they smell like. I don't care, any of that stuff. That's not for me. Okay. I do care about their life. I do care about wanting to save their life. And that's only one caper. I mean, that's only one. I can tell you many more. Okay. That changed my life. They changed me. And that's why I think I am the way I am. And I don't care if you've been to prison, 50 years. Look how I talked to Don Wells on the phone that day. Mm-hmm. Look how I talked to Candace. I didn't care. I cared.
You were so gentle and polite to her.
Yeah.
Probably I truly believe that you talked that day that you interviewed her, you talked to her nicer than most anybody in her life has ever treated her.
Maybe.
I truly believe that.
Yeah, I share that philosophy, Chris.
I know you do, Gary, and that's why all of them kind of connect, and that's why it's just about respect. It's about treating people with respect. It's not about how they look anymore. I mean, people are just so quick because of the algorithm says, well, that guy's different, so therefore we must watch the fight. No, we shouldn't have to do that. We should be able to say, okay, if you want to wear a onesie and pretend you're a dog, like I said today on my channel, okay, if Buddy's around you, he's probably, I know, Gary, if Buddy's around you, he's probably going to pee on you. That's what I said.
Oh,
okay,
God.
because if he thinks you're a dog, okay, don't confuse my dog. Do not confuse my dog. I can't help it. If you go to the dog park and you're on your hands and knees running around and Buddy's there, hey, he's going to mark his territory. I cannot prevent that from occurring. Okay, so don't blame me for that at all.
A onesie.
But seriously, Chris, whenever I'm talking to anybody, if I talk to murderers, if I talk to people who have committed outrageous crimes, if I talk to people who are very unwell, people who are cruel, people who are condescending to me, any of them, I always think to myself, honestly, even though I don't say it out loud, I always think to myself that if God were there, he would say, listen, whatever this person did is still your brother. Still your sister.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Absolutely.
Still made that person. They're still a child of me.
Yep.
And it's very important to do that. And I think that if you maintain the capacity to understand that about anybody, I think it's a very special trait. So I try very hard to have it, because the reality is that until the end of until people die, there's always a chance that they can change. And also, I try to remember that I don't know the hills and valleys the person has been through to get them where they are. Some people are just monstrous. They're just hereditarily awful. And some people have reasons for being where they are. And I don't know that from glancing at you.
Right.
So and I don't know the state of a person's soul. Right. So I just think that attitude is actually a very Christian one.
Well, and it's not, I think and I would agree. That's why the way you are. Right. And that's why you're able to help people. And, but you also acknowledge the fact that you wrote a book called The New Evil. You acknowledge that evil exists. And we get that. We get that piece of the
wise as a serpent and as innocent as a dove.
That's right. And so if you're going to sit down, with the devil, you got to serve him at least a cup of coffee. In order to understand what the depth of that pain and suffering is and how much these individuals can cause. And so you have to look past that. And when I sat with Wesley Allen Dodd and those folks that have never, ever heard that name, you go look him up. And Gary, is he in your book, by the way?
He's in the next one.
Okay. And
he is, Chris, if there were a human being that would deserve the appellation of evil. I mean, Chris, do you realize, you realize, your audience may not realize, this is a man who murdered a minor, hanged him in the closet like a shirt.
Yeah, be careful how far you go.
And came home and...
Right. And I have all of those interviews. I have all of that on tape.
Evil.
He sat right...
The worst of the worst.
He sat 18 inches away from me and told me all the stories. I have them all.
Probably boasting or without any disturbance.
He didn't even blink.
It was like talking about baseball.
It was said that if they let him out
exactly
of prison,
right.
They asked him if he got out of prison what he would do, and he said he would go find a child.
Yeah, right away.
He was a shameless. He knew that he should be executed.
Yeah, he knew what time it was. And just like Brandon Wilson, when I asked Brandon how to demonstrate how he, killed that child.
He got a little joy out of that.
Yeah, if anybody wants to see it, you can go down and watch it in the playlist. These are real people that I have experienced in my career and sat across from and talked to, just like I would the postmaster. And you know what? I don't know what it is. It was a gift that God gave me because I made a deal with him to go after these people and hunt them down. And here I am. Who would have thought I would have been on a doggone YouTube channel 6.5 years later with my sweetheart?
Yeah, with Gary.
Well, and but I met you guys. I met Gary through the Cold Case Foundation, but I met, we got to know each other. The audience gets to know us a lot more. But this is all about real. These are These are real people that are out there, and we're trying to make a difference for families, for victims, et cetera. So we're not talking about, trying to predict or solve what's the next situation. No, we're just trying to give you our life experiences in relationship to how they've unfolded. And we bring receipts. That's the key thing. We bring receipts. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, but we bring receipts. Okay.
Yeah, and I think, and all of us have been significantly impacted by, crime in one way or one way or another. Victims and tragedies, and so it's not like we don't come from a place of know what we're talking about.
Not only that, we have all been maligned by people sitting in an armchair with one tatty copy of a true crime book that is the extent of their knowledge of law enforcement or forensic psychiatry or psychology, who think they know better. There is that too. And that's another thing that I think takes a lot of humility, is to just kind of be like, okay, take that into consideration.
Like I grew up in the court. I grew up in the court system. I mean, I've seen it, nonstop. I watching today. I was watching, I've seen the, and a lot of times when you go up to court, you have to wait for your turn. So you have to watch a lot of other court proceedings that go on. You have to sit there for sometimes, just depending on how long it goes. That went on constantly, and it just, you kind of get a feel for it, and you can kind of understand what's going on. And it sucks, but you realize, it's not a pleasant thing. That's like when you were talking about the judge, kind of, it seemed it was a little off-putting.
And if you ask Fox, here's your sign, then I'm a Libra. I'm a Libra. So I'm the scales. And here's what I said about the judge. The other piece of this real fast.
Let us move forward. Being that you indicated that you're going to prepare this for
This
tomorrow,
is just after he
how would we
left.
like to proceed for the remainder of our time together?
Yeah, just a moment.
Of course.
Unreal. The fact that the judge was laughing, that will be news tomorrow. The Kirk family sitting right there. It's no joke. This is real world.
And I know the state's engaged, but if someone could send a copy of that to the court after it's been reviewed by counsel, so the court can review it to double check that
laughing by this judge,
make sure that it reflects what I was
will
intending
be
to
on
reflect.
the
That
cover
way we can save time as well.
of every
Thank you.
tabloid in the world.
Yeah, and even if it was
he needs to go.
Even if it was like a stress, even if it was like a stress laugh or a frustration or whatever, you're the judge. That's what you're there to do. You have the power. You have the control. You're the gatekeeper of everything. This thing could have been wrapped up, man. Like
I read in the paper that he was appointed a year ago.
This is his. I don't know his background, but I'm just the family's attorney had just got off the podium, okay, and said basically, the family's been sitting here listening to all of this. What's going on? That was essentially the messaging to the court. I'd never seen a victim's family walk up with an attorney, walk up to the podium and say, wait a minute, we want full transparency with this court. I represent the victim's family, i.e. the victim. Guess who represents the victim in court? The state of Utah. In this case, they were so frustrated, the victim's family walks up and says, Your Honor, I am so-and-so, such and such. I represent the victim's family, i.e. Charlie Kirk. Now, take the politics and just set it all aside. Just set it aside. Okay? what he was saying was that guy over there sitting at the table is alleged to have killed my client's husband. Okay? Forget the politics. This is his opportunity and our opportunity to have you, Your Honor, do your job and level set so the scales of justice can be balanced. And when he was done and walked away from that podium, okay, the defense got up one more time and started saying some things to the judge. And that's where it came in on this part right here,
Transparency.
just before this,
I also recognize the importance of
where he had just finished because the court let him get away with it. Just put Twiggs on the
5
stand.
minutes and 27
Shut
seconds.
this whole
Is
thing. What they should have done. So this is a transcript of an interview, a video interview with the key witness, this Twiggs guy, the guy who dresses up, in the tutu. Okay. And what the court wanted was, or what the defense wanted was all of the interview redacted for the public. But he's going to watch the full interview on his side, but he doesn't want any of that information out. Well, the prosecution wanted that information out. They wanted it. They wanted the world to see it. And the judge says, well, no, I'm going to rule for the defense where you're going to have to go back and cut through this video. And the defense had just given it to the prosecution. So there was no way they could do it. So it was a delay tactic. So the attorneys, he's reading through the redaction that's going to go on. And just before this had happened, Erica Kirk's and the family's attorney came up to the podium and told him, stop this.
second court what I previously said?
Yes.
All right. And then the other edit.
And then he leans back and either it's a nervous smile or whatever. I don't know what it is or what happened. But this was just on the heels of the attorney for the family coming up and saying, please stop this madness.
I think he was annoyed.
I don't know what he was. It was just wrong.
35:48.
Forget your
report with what I previously said.
Emotions. Yeah, no, I get it.
All right.
He could have shut it all
And then
down.
From 35:48 to the remainder 37 can be included. So there is that gap, but that can be included.
So he's taken a
And
dollar bill.
Part of the reason in responding to the media, and
Listen.
it's an important point, and to the representative for victim representative Erica Kirk, is I recognize the importance of transparency. I also recognize the importance of balancing constitutional rights, and it is a fine line. One of the reasons why for these edits includes under my analysis under 403, going to the last part, needlessly presenting cumulative evidence. And based off the representation of the state that the text messages may be introduced, the court is ruling that this may be revisited in case that doesn't happen. But to throw back the curtain, much of this is the text messages, to be clear. And again, all of this is going to be considered by the court. I'm balancing all these competing rules, constitutional rights, as well as transparency. And sometimes it is an imperfect balancing act, but I'm trying to act in the interest of justice in making this balancing act and for transparency to actually be transparent. And so that is the ruling of the court as it relates to State's Exhibit 16. Turning to the state, do you wish to make the edits as identified by the court and play it tomorrow to publish it, or do you wish to go a different route?
Chris,
I think just to make sure that we
Wait a minute,
are,
watch.
completely in
Somebody
line with
said
the
he
court's
didn't
ruling,
laugh.
I think we would like to take the
So
evening.
we're gonna
to make
bring
sure
the
edits are all
receipts.
correct and start out tomorrow by playing it.
And if you wouldn't mind, when you have
All
that
day,
final copy,
he's been letting the
you could
defense
send it to
keep
defense
getting
to
up.
read to us to form.
So he's
just to make
done
sure
with
it
his
comports
narrative,
with the
told his
timestamps that
reasoning,
the court has identified.
and watch what
I
happens.
know this has been a long conversation, but I just want to make sure everyone understands, okay, this is what the court said, and we're all on the same page.
It's like, here we go again.
What is before that's being
That's the
presented
context.
reflects that. So not downing the state, simply allowing everyone to review it before it is introduced into court.
Absolutely, we will do that.
All right. On this issue, anything further?
This exhibit, no.
All right.
Okay. That is laughing. So this is wrong. This is on the heels of all day letting the court get out of control. And he realizes now that everything I just said 30 seconds ago, that will be national news tomorrow. I'll put money on it. It'll be all over the tabloids and all over the world at some point. What happened to the judge? That's going to be the question. And you know what? I don't know the gentleman. I'm sure he's a wonderful human being. I'm sure he's a great guy. I have nothing against the guy, but I'm not in that courtroom, making comments like that and saying things just after the victim's family's attorney walks away from the podium, and then you have to tell them what you're trying to do. No, your job is to take the evidence, balance it out. It's a low bar for probable cause. And then if you think it's there, bind him over, send him to trial. You don't have to explain to anybody what you're doing. Just do it. And if you don't think it's there, then don't bind him over. Move on. And what I think the prosecution should do tomorrow morning, I thought the prosecution tonight should be at this Twiggs house and hand him a subpoena and say, guess what? You're coming to court tomorrow morning. Would you like to get in the car? And we'll put you up at a hotel tonight, but you're going to walk in the courtroom tomorrow morning. We're going to put you on the stand, and you're going to say in person, not on video, what happened. That resolves that problem right there, lickety split.
And that would probably be the best thing to do.
Yeah, it may have been stress release. It is. I'm not questioning it. It may have been a stress release laugh. That's not the point. The point is it happened because it should never have got up to that point.
Right. That's the point, is that it was on and on and on and on and on.
It should have never gone on all day, because every time he was done making a ruling, the defense would stand up and completely ignore the ruling. And that is an inexperience. That's what that is. And so when that stress does build up, it creates that reaction, perhaps. I'm not questioning that, and I'm not debating that. I think that is not a problem. I think
nor is this a trial.
Right.
It's a trial.
The problem was it came right on the heels where the judge even had to address it. I know that the Kirk family, yada, yada. He even brings it up because he knows. He knows. That's what I'm saying. It was inappropriate to let the whole case get out of control. It should never have gotten that far. And I feel sorry for the judge. That there's, we all get it, but there's also rules of decorum. When you say last question, counselor, to the defense, and then you let them have like 30 more, that's your problem. That's your problem as a magistrate.
Yeah, and the people that are saying, well, he doesn't want to lose on appeal, but listen, the bar is not very high to bind him over.
Not at all.
For trial. The that I heard probably 30 different things that could have been just enough to hold him over, for trial. So you're not really in any, I don't know if I can't think of a case that I've heard of where the preliminary hearing got overturned on appeal. I've heard of trials, but I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. I'm sure there's something, but very, that would be almost unheard of, to be honest.
Well, and you know what? The judge is he's a super great guy. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. But tomorrow, I guarantee you he's going to be different. Because that defense team rolled all over him. And what that means is they rolled all over the victims' families. And the family saw it to the point where they nudged their attorney and say, you better get up there and say something. We're sick of this. And it hasn't even started yet. Hasn't even gone to trial. And you have the family's attorney standing at the podium admonishing the judge. And then the judge saying, well, okay, well, let me explain what I'm trying to do here. Well, if you have to explain it, then guess what? It's not clear what's going on. And typically, you don't see judges do that because they're clear with both sides of the state and the defense. I can guarantee you a good judge would have leaned over and said, I told you that was the last question. Okay. We're moving on. Save it for the trial. Prosecution, do you have anything? No, sir. All right, let's move on to the next witness. We're running out of time. I have enough right now, based on what I just heard, to establish whether or not I believe there is or isn't probable cause. I'm not going to make that decision right now. You'll hear it at the end. Do you have another witness? Yes, put him on the stand. Let's go. Because what the defense is doing is testifying. Okay, they're testifying. And guess what? That's against the rules of evidence. It's against court decorum, and it's against the court's order. That's what's happening. And that's why the frustration builds up. And that's why he gets, the gas laugh. We'll call it the gas laugh.
And that's what happens during trials. But this is, like I'm saying, this isn't a trial. This has a very low bar that he has. This is what he could have done after all of it. He could have just said, hey, we're done here. I've heard enough.
Right. And then you got wackadoodles like Candace Olson out there, stirring the pot as if, the microphone blew up and Mossad's involved and, IDF and all this other stuff. Well, meanwhile, the kid's walking through the campus with a rifle in his leg. Okay. And it's his grandfather's rifle. It's his mother's car. And they found all this stuff, at his boyfriend's house. It's not rocket science, Candace. And hopefully some of your subscribers will leave your channel and come over here where they can get it real. She's another lunatic that's out there stirring the pot. And she should know better. These are real people's lives. Whether you like them or not, these are real people's lives. And that's what people forget. Right there. It's on Fox right now. I called it. I knew it was coming. These are real people sitting in a courtroom because the world witnessed this guy get shot on live TV. And you have, these crazy people talking about, the cabal and the one eye, all this other theory, conspiracy theories. Married to a millionaire or a billionaire, by the way. We forget that. Maybe she's got the one eye and we're missing it. She's a kook and she can come on my show any day of the week and we'll talk about it because you're a kook. Okay? It's that simple. You got to stop. These are real people that you're messing with. Real lives. Charlie Kirk was a real human being. The guy walking, you know, in New York with Luigi, where he executed him in the back. Maybe that was a conspiracy too. Let's report on that.
Yeah,
Let's report on that. Anyway, all right, that's enough. We're out of here. We've been here 2 hours and 40 minutes. It was 40 minutes longer than I wanted to go. We appreciate you guys. We love our audience. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I will see you on the next one. Continue to take care of one another. And I had somebody say, I was being mean earlier today on my chat. I said, I'm not being mean. I just hate stupid. That's all it is.
You're being mean, Chris.
There's a difference. There's a difference between being mean and being stupid.
So mean.
I don't like stupid. I can be stupid, but I'm not mean. Anyway, aloha. See you on the next one.
Hard working every day. I'm stressed out 24/7, babe. No timeouts. Wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah. Make special memories together. I'll be your company now and forever. I say we fly away. You and me go to our favorite place. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. I need a summer breeze, some fresh air to put my mind at ease. No cares. You wanna come with me? Me and you go to our favorite tree. Are you ready now? We jump on a plane now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. Don't hesitate now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. We'll never come down. We're going away. Yeah, we're going away. You and me. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii. It's always been you, Jesus. It's always been you, Emmanuel. Who gave me this courage? What torch lights my feet? It's always been you, Jesus. It's always been you, Emmanuel. Who brings light to the morning? What its trouble.